So it's been raining in the Western Cape. They've had a few mils this morning. It started raining. Well, not unusual for the country. Most of the country's been getting a lot of it, but it is, I suppose, provincially, it's not normally the case in the Cape. But at the end of the day, I don't think it'll go on for too long. It should be fine. Second race on the card. A reminder about our Twitter and our WhatsApp numbers or handles as is on the screen at the moment. Please remember to make good use of those. Daryl Marie and Darren Burrows join me. We've got an odds on at 10 o'clock this morning. 7 to 10 shots in this horse Enemy Territory that runs in the second race. Darren, hard to beat?
Very hard to beat, Clyde. It was a fair debut, beaten a length by Kennedy. I like the way she was staying on all the way to the line. She had Ponte Vecchio a neck in front of her, and now she's 2.5 kilos better off at the weights. So surely this is the start of your doubles and trebles for the day, Enemy Territory.
She would be a place accumulator banker, I would imagine, Daryl.
Clyde, look what race it is. Special weights.
So what is that now? You're worried about something else in here?
Special weights to be taken even odds on or shorter, you have to be a brave man.
Yeah.
Obviously, this filly's got a lot of scope for improvement. Ponte Vecchio beat her, but Darren touched on the fact that she's better off this time around.
2.5 kilos,
Go back to the Why Not Jackie run, number 7, 105th Avenue, actually beat Ponte Vecchio and is better off at the weights. So I've just backed up the favourite with number 7, 105th Avenue.
Okay, in your PA. All right, so that's the case from a place accumulator perspective. Daryl worried being a special weights race, that 7 to 10 about Enemy Territory is one thing to consider. The other is from a place accumulator perspective. Perhaps the play is to try and double up. Let's have a look at it. Here we go. We're going 7 and 9, by 1, 4, 6, by 1 and 7, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, by 5, 6, 7, 8. And then Daryl's got 2 bankers later on in the place accumulators. Bankering the 5, that was Rosh Kadesh. Does look the right one. And at the back as well, number 3, Noble City. Okay, let's get on to the third. It's the pick 6 now. It's over 2,000 metres where number 7, Coronation Time, tops the boards at around 7 to 2. 1, Rocky Reef is at 9 to 2. And number 4, Mr. Monocle, trading at 11 to 2. They're betting 6 to 1 and better about the others. We'll go straight into Darren to talk about pick 6's first legs. What have you done here first leg? You're going wide?
I've gone wide. I've gone 5 runners. Coronation Time. Now, he looked on the up. You know, he won his maiden in good style, straight out of the maidens, won in the handicap company. Last time out, he had no luck in running. They all shifted towards the outside fence in the straight, and he got caught in a pocket. He had to switch in, just put a line through that effort. I think he'll bounce back. But on collateral form, he's got a bit of work to do with a number of runners. He's worse off at the weights, a good few kilos. So it's not going to be easy. The weights obviously favour Virginia Sweet, half-sister to Do It Again. That step up in trip's going to suit her. Rocky Reef, Impetuous, not out of it. And a roughie to include. Over to you.
Okay, so a couple of runners mentioned. Is it classified? So again, it's conditioned, so that'll worry you.
Yes, have a look at the best weighted column, Clyde. The 2 that come up on top are the 2 of the Ferrosex in Virginia Sweet and Rocky Reef. Now, last time out, Rocky Reef went to the head of the fairs. That doesn't suit her running style. She's better than that. I think from one gate, she'll get some cover and she'll run a much improved race. I think she's one of the leading lights of here. Mr. Monocle, he's 5.5 kilograms better off with Coronation Time. And number 8, what's that? Over to you, Clyde. Number 6, over to you. Now take note, this is fitted with blinkers, and he's 7 kilograms better off. That last run was below par, but he needs to improve on that effort. If he runs to his best form, he could be the upset material in this race. But I think one that should run into the money is number 1, Rocky Reef.
All right, and Keegan DeMiller does take the ride on that horse. Over to you now. So let's get some of our selections up in the third race. Daryl making reference to the fact that Peter Muscat's horse Rocky Reef must be one of the leading lights. Darren's got a few in his pick 6s, as you can see. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, by 1, 7, 9, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, and 11, by 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, And then he's bankering number 5 in the second last leg, that being Rosh Kadesh, and 357 at the back. Maiden class field, and this time they go around over the 1,800 metres. Have a look at the market in this maiden plate, and they've got 5-2 the field, where Brett Crawford's Elegant Noble's top of the boards this morning when we did the show, trading at around 5-2. Madison Blues second choice 7-2. I'm not sure there's going to be much of a difference or change in terms of the market anyway this race. I'll start with you, Daryl. In a maiden, what does seem to normally be straightforward maiden plate type races. What do you think?
Clyde, this horse that Richard Free interests me. Marshall Field. Now, watch his latest replay, Clyde. He came out from a wide barrier position. He was given a chance. He actually turned into the straight stone last.
Right.
He wasn't given the opportunity of a clear run. He went in on that occasion. He found interference 2 or 3 times. He was doing his best work late. He now gets stepped up in trip. He's by Ideal World out of a dam that won over 1,700. I think he's going to love the extra. And I think with a clear run this time round, he's going to prove the one to beat. I make the danger number 1, Elegant Noble. Now, I know Madison Blues holds it. But on that occasion, Elegant Noble was trapped very wide, Clyde, in running. And I'm expecting him to reverse that form because of the switch in the draws. He should get the run of the race. So I've narrowed it down to 2 runners only, 1 and 7 to fight it out.
Interesting that you got Lucinda Woodruff, was Marshall Field, as one of your first few choices market-wise. That also is trading at around 9-2, 5-1 at the moment. So look out for that. Darren, your take on it?
Well, I've also gone the 1, 7, and 9 in the pick 6. Now, touching on Elegant Noble, he did take on winners last time out, and his penultimate start, he was unlucky. Now, on a line of form with Madison Blues, Elegant Noble beat Madison Blues 3 runs back, and then he ran just behind Madison Blues 2 runs back. So there's nothing between numbers 1 and 9. And then you're touching on number 7. Well, love the step up in trip, could be anything, and a jockey booking of Richard Fourie.
Okay, let's get some of the numbers up. Daryl's got his worked out, 1 and 7. So Darren and Daryl on this pretty much the same page here. 1 and 7 first leg of this jackpot. By 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11. By 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1 and 5 later on. That is a 96 Rand per. Now we move on to race number 5 on the card. Let's talk about this. It's over 1,800 metres, and WhatsApp, Twitter, all on your screen at the moment. Remember to join us and be a part of it as well. 0869 164 3272. Send your name and email address to that number. And remember, we at Weighted to Win in terms of information to get out there. So, what's the case here? Going good to soft or thereabouts. 4-1 the field. They're better. Enamorare and there's horse Montine. They're not slouches. They're both fair horses, and they certainly got to dominate here. 8-1 about Lion's Head and the Futurist, as well as Night Ruler. And there may be a bit of value about this was bound beyond the boundary, priced up at around 10-1 or thereabouts. Darren, your take on it?
Well, Clyde, I remember leading up to the Politician Stakes in Morare, they said he had an interrupted prep and he wasn't himself. And he ran accordingly. He ran 6 lengths off Rockpool. Now, on his previous form, he's got to come into the play with a massive chance. I'm going to favour Enamorare. I've got respect for Montien. Done nothing wrong in 4 starts, 52 kilos to shoulder. And then beyond the boundary, having his peak run, I wouldn't ignore his chances either.
Okay, so those horses are definitely going in. Daryl?
I think this is the hardest race on the card, Clyde. I put 6 runners in the PA. Beyond the boundary, he was off for quite some time. I think 7 months, if I'm not mistaken, Clyde.
Yeah.
He won in his comeback slot, second run off the rest, possibly below effort. He was exposed on that occasion, over racing. But if you fancy his chances, have a look at number 2, Fair Advantage. He's 3.5 kilograms better off for 2 3/4 lengths. So there's not much separating the two of them. And then, excuse me, Enamorare and Fair Advantage, 4.5 kilograms better off for half a length beating, Clyde. Fair Advantage at that stage, the stable wasn't firing. Now it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Fair Advantage is the each-way play in a very, very difficult race.
Yeah, and he's 8-1 at the moment, Fair Advantage. So there's a bit of value to be had there about him at the moment, I would say.
It's a hard race.
You said hardest race on the card. All right, well, lots of horses are going into the play. Let's have a look at what the plan then is. Here's Jackpot 2, and Darren's going as many as those. And then, as we heard earlier, we are including Bankery number 5, Rosh Kadesh is the play, and those horses at the back. That's 105 Rand jackpot from Darren Burrows. Let's move on now to our next race on the card. Welcome, where Time Flies tops the boards here at 28 to 10. 5 on the card, Betty Boop. Second choice at 4 to 1, and 5 to 1 about number 8, Meta, 5 to 1. And then number 3, Floating, is at 6 to 1. You had a few of them in the jackpot here, Darren?
I picked quite a few here because I'm not sure what the tactics are going to be with Time Flies. Now, last time out, she turned into the straights, hopelessly outpaced at the back of the field, and she absolutely took off. They've put the cheek pieces on from a deepish draw. If they push forward, she's a huge runner. If she decides to tuck in towards the back of the field, she might just leave a run too late. So it all depends on the tactics here. I would include the stable companions, Meta and Fleeting, and then Betty Boop and Symphony of Light aren't out of it.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. There are a number of them already mentioned. Are you worried about tactics?
Well, I don't know, Clyde. This race has got me stumped. Time Flies, no doubt she's got the ability, but she's got top weight and she's normally lagging at the back of the field. Hopefully those cheek pieces can get her interested in early on and she can be in contention turning for home. Symphony of Light, that's number 6, Clyde. She's had a nice prep going into this race. You can see 2 fair sprints. Third run now for the stable, going up in trip. She must be considered. Meta at the weights is best in. She's going to strip fitter. She's got a light weight to shoulder. And Betty Boop's a filly that's unexposed of this trip. So difficult.
Difficult,
but competitive.
Small, competitive. That's been the nature of today. Here's a look at what we're doing in the race. We'll put it up for you. And Darren Burrows going with a Exacta floating banker. He's floating the 7 horse here in Time Flies. And any one of 3, 5, 6, and 8 can fill any one of those 2 positions as long as the 7 runs in the top 2. 17 to 10 about Rosh Kadesh to win here. Dean Kademayer and Keegan DeMello, they team up. And when you go to the Full Racing TV site and listen to what Dean has to say, I think Rosh Kadesh is quite an exciting prospect. And now going over 1,600 metres, which is well more to his liking, Daryl. Although Future Turn's no slouch. I mean, he knows how to turn it on ability-wise, this horse. The second
obviously
favourite.
Future Turn and Bartolino represent similar form, Clyde. They finished alongside each other. They're more exposed. Bartolino has improved since being gelded, and so has Future Turn. But they're taking on a highly regarded sort in Rosh Kadesh. Now, this stable obviously thinks the world of him. I had a look at his breeding, Clyde. He's half-brother by Captain Al, who's more a sprinting sire. His half-brother won over 1,800. So I do believe the mile will be more suitable.
Yeah, and Dean's confirmed that.
And plenty scope for improvement. Just hearing what he's about, he could be anything. The horse I make the danger is number 1, Professor Snape. Now, he's been fitted with a set of blinkers. So he's his stable companion, number 3, Paper Trail. I'm not too sure what tactics they're going to try. Perhaps Paper Trail pushes forward and Professor Snape gets into the race this time around from a 1 draw. So...
And you know what's interesting about that, Daryl?
The 5 and the 1 will dominate. Yeah, I don't believe there's much value into Rosh Kadesh's current price.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is he beat Prometheus in State of Shock. This was Rosh Kadesh. And both of them are from Vaughan Marshall stable. Both of them trained by Vaughan. And he's got Professor Snape here, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think Professor Snape a better miler than anything else, to be honest.
Yes, I think he's going to bounce back to his best, Clyde. He's another... sort that's highly regarded by the stable.
Yep.
He's had his excuses in his latest 2 starts. So I think on his day, if he's at his best, he'll give this favourite a run for his money.
All right, but make it known that this horse is highly rated, Rosh Kadesh. Darren, this is your banker, your play. I know you're not worried about anything else. Hard to beat in your case.
Very hard to beat, Clyde. He's still got to prove how good he is. He has a big reputation. Now, on debut, he started 6 to 10. I can tell you that he just got out-sprinted the final 200. It wasn't that he was fading. It's a horse looking for a mile plus. Last time out, it was a workman-like victory. He won in good enough fashion, but I'd still believe the 14 was on the sharp side. And now we're going to start seeing his true potential when stepped up to a mile plus. It's not the strongest of fields, and I'm hoping that he's good enough to follow up.
Okay, there it is. Rosh Kadesh, hard to beat this afternoon. All right, thank you. Welcome back. Last on the card, and let's hope we can get it right. This 1200 where Veldskun tops the boards at 18 to 10, number 5 in the card. 3 Noble City, 22 to 10. And I think Peter Muscat expecting a very good run from Noble City this afternoon. Darren?
This could be a very smart horse. I was super impressed. I was at the course when he won on debut, and he absolutely trotted up. We saw the second-placed runner, Kaborna Lesedi, come out to win in good fashion. The third-placed runner was Rosh Kadesh, who came out to win. So this horse is going to run a big race. Veldskun, now he's had the 2 comeback runs after a year off the track. And last time out, I thought a bit unlucky not to get closer. He was closing the gap late. Having his peak run, he'll run a big race. And then swift action of the rest. So 3 and 5 to fight it out over number 7.
Okay, Noble City, Veldskun from Darren's side. Mr. Marie?
Yeah, I'm not looking past the 2 of them, Clyde. I think Noble City, like Darren touched on, super impressive on debut. He also progressed from that effort since then. So a leading light of year. The only danger has to be number 5, Veldskun. Now, 2 comeback starts after a lengthy layoff. Last time, Clyde, interesting, the finish was dominated by horses up the inside. The first 3, he was middle outside. He was doing his best work late. Another horse that could be well ahead of his current rating of a 76. So if the track is sticky at this stage, which I believe it will be, it could suit him. Because I do believe he might have his issues. So for me, 3 and 5 to dominate.
Those are the 2, and you've heard or may not have heard that the form lines have been working out quite well as well. So make a note of those changes around Noble City anyway. Kaborna Lesedi and Rosh Kadesh both came out from there and won. So, yeah, those are the 2 to fight this out. Unless you guys at home have got a Shruti, well, maybe add it into the recommendation, which is as follows. Our last race today, and it is the exacta where we are boxing 3 and 5.